On the Monday, September 15th episode of The Young and the Restless, Nate and Kyle compare notes. Phyllis demands answers from Michael, and Amanda seeks to befriend Lily. Victoria and Claire walked through Chancellor Park after attending Katie's soccer practice. Victoria noticed that Claire seemed distant, and she inquired whether something else had happened with Kyle. Claire complained that it seemed like the harder he tried to rectify the situation, the deeper he dug his own hole. Claire disclosed the details of Kyle's $5 million deal with Victor. She groused that she wouldn't have known about it if her grandfather hadn't mentioned it. Victoria contemplated why Kyle would make such a grand gesture to prove his devotion. Claire cited it as another example of Kyle making a decision that affected her life without including her. Victoria believed Kyle had entered into the agreement because of his profound feelings for Claire, and he was terrified of losing her. Claire pondered whether Kyle loved her too much, since he'd started to get possessive. Claire revealed that Holden had been a good friend to her, but Kyle didn't trust him and had told him to stay away from her. Victoria theorized that Kyle didn't know how to handle the dynamic with Holden. Victoria relayed her conversation with Kyle about how he'd never felt love the way he did for Claire. Victoria imagined that if Claire loved Kyle as deeply as he loved her, it might be a lasting love. Victoria implored Claire to try to see a way through until she was sure. Victoria counseled that men often struggle to deal with their emotions, becoming overwhelmed upon realizing they couldn't control their feelings. Victoria guessed that Kyle was more than aware of his blunders and was mortified by them. Victoria encouraged Claire to give herself time and Kyle some grace to find out if he was the type of guy who could learn and grow from it. Victoria urged Claire to be patient if she was willing to accept and forgive, but it would be a different story if Kyle had broken Claire's trust beyond repair. Kyle and Nate ran into one another at Crimson Lights. Kyle hoped Nate didn't blame him for Nate's breakup with Audra, and he asked if he was about to get punched in the face. Nate insisted that he and Kyle were both victims of Audra and Victor, and that his heart went out to Claire. Kyle asked how well Nate knew Holden. Nate shared that he wasn't a fan of Holden, who obviously had never gotten over his relationship with Audra. Nate suspected that Holden was bad news, and that Holden's time in LA had been questionable at best. Kyle groused that he didn't like the way Holden seemed to have targeted Claire. Nate thought Claire was too smart to fall for Holden's phony charms, especially when she was in love with Kyle. Kyle worried that Holden was taking advantage of Claire's vulnerable state. Nate was sure Holden would have made a move on Audra if she and Nate hadn't been solid at the time. Kyle regretted that he hadn't warned Nate about Audra. Nate recounted that many people had tried, but he hadn't listened because he'd believed he could get through her armor and touch her heart. Kyle opined that Nate was better off without Audra, and Nate sadly agreed. Victoria and Claire entered the coffee house, and Nate invited them to join him and Kyle. Claire wondered if the men had been bonding over Audra, or maybe talking about Holden. Kyle wrote off his conversation with Nate as being too boring to share. Nate mentioned that he had a sympathy card for Victoria and Claire from Amy in his car, and Victoria suggested she pick it up on her way out. After Victoria and Nate left, Claire prompted Kyle to tell her what he and Nate had been talking about. Kyle refused to drop his concerns, and he shared that Nate also didn't trust Holden. Claire scolded Kyle for focusing on Holden, when Kyle was the one she needed to know if she could trust. Kyle swore his only agenda was to love her, and he hated that he'd been tripping over his own words and thoughts. He confided that he was terrified he'd screwed up and couldn't fix it. He cried that he'd never been more uncertain about anything, and it was eating him up inside. Kyle asked if they could hit the reset button and start over. At the park overlook, Phyllis testily asked Michael why they couldn't have talked at Society. Michael urged her to listen because what he had to say was mutually beneficial. He announced that they were working on the same team, and she crowed that she'd been right about his job offer being from Kane. Phyllis pushed to know what Kane had offered to lure Michael out of retirement. Phyllis pointed out that Kane already had an incredible attorney in Amanda. Michael claimed that he didn't have an assignment yet, and Phyllis guessed that Kane intended to use the skills Michael had put to use for Victor. Michael conceded that he'd performed some light undercover work in the past, but everyone did it. He remarked that things were more fun when he and Phyllis weren't mad at one another. She agreed. Phyllis admitted that she missed her friendship with Michael, but he hadn't been there when she'd needed him the most. Michael asserted that he'd accepted the job with Kane so he and Phyllis could reconnect and put the pain behind them. Phyllis asked what Michael would do when Victor found out. Michael revealed that he'd taken precautions by keeping his contract with Kane private. And even Lauren wouldn't know where his paychecks were from. Phyllis demanded to know what he wasn't telling her. Michael reasoned that he was keeping his new position from Lauren to give his wife plausible deniability. Phyllis didn't buy it, and she pressed to know what secret he was protecting because she knew when he was lying. Michael swore that he just wanted peace and to work together in harmony. Phyllis ordered Michael to spill his agenda, or she'd go to Kane and convince him that Michael couldn't be trusted. On Kane's train, Amanda questioned Kane's plan to hand over his AI software to Billy. Kane was certain that Billy wouldn't hesitate to use it against Victor, while Kane kept his hands clean. Amanda wondered why Kane wasn't worried that Billy might try to use it against him. Kane explained that Billy would be the one using the software, but Kane would be controlling what it did and didn't do. Kane recognized that the plan was risky, but he'd covered all the bases to protect his image for his children. He lamented that they still wouldn't return his calls, and he said he wouldn't blame Lily if she'd advised them to stay away. Amanda clucked that he'd overestimated his ability to make them see his rationale, and he'd broken any trust Lily had once had in him. She asked if there was anything she could do to help. Kane inquired how tense her relationship with Lily was. Amanda said she and Lily tolerated one another, but she thought Lily still saw Hillary when she looked at Amanda. Amanda continued that Lily sympathized with her because Devin had cheated on Amanda with Abby. Kane contemplated whether Amanda could use that sympathy to cultivate a friendship with Lily and help him find out if there was a chance Lily could ever see the good in him again. Kane instructed Amanda to find out anything that would give him a window into any feelings Lily was holding back. Amanda promised to try her best, and she asked what he'd be up to in the meantime. Kane vaguely stated that he had plenty to keep him busy, since his plans had only just begun. Later, Kane sent a text message to Billy asking, "Are we a go?" At Society, Lily informed Devin that she'd spoken to the twins, who still wanted nothing to do with Kane even after his video. Devin wondered if the video had been enough to convince Lily to see Kane's side. Lily recognized that Kane had seemed sincere, but he also hadn't answered her questions or changed her opinion about how he'd handled things. Lily pledged to protect her children's hearts, and she left it up to them whether or not to forgive Kane. Devin queried how she would feel if they did. Lily was determined to stay neutral, but she wasn't sure how she'd handle it if her kids cut Kane off after Neil had been such a huge figure for her. Devin advised her against comparing Kane to Neil, and he believed Tucker would be a better comparison. Lily mused that maybe a clean break would be for the best. Devin doubted there was a family in the world without conflict and confusion, and he resolved to press on, try to make amends, and love their kids the best way they could. Lily sensed Devin was siding with Kane. Devin swore he'd never defend Kane, whom he distrusted even more than Lily did, but he found it sad that the twins might lose their connection with their dad. Lily wasn't sure what she should do, but she vowed to always curse Kane for what he'd done. Amanda greeted Lily and Devin. Devin asked if Amanda was moving to Genoa City to be closer to her boss. Amanda confirmed that she'd be spending more time there, and she hoped it wasn't a problem. Devin thought her role was more behind the scenes. Amanda contended that there was no need to hide in the shadows because Kane wasn't posing as Dumas anymore. Devin bitterly asked if Kane kept her on retainer to bail him out when he did something sketchy. Amanda stressed that Kane's priorities had changed, and he was focused on repairing the damage to his relationship with his kids. Lily snapped that Kane was wasting his time because the twins were very hurt. Amanda countered that the twins weren't the only ones hurting, since Kane was devastated over the pain he'd caused. Amanda requested to speak to Lily privately. "Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, have Sally standing her ground with Billy, Kyle being forced to take the high road, and Adam putting Chelsea in a tough position. Sally put Billy on notice not that long ago. He needs to get his act together, or else he'd lose her both as a life partner and a business partner at Abbott Communications. They talked it out later, but is Billy truly capable of change? The gambling addict is hoping to win big against Victor Newman. Both Sally and Billy's brother Jack think that Billy needs to stop pushing that rock up a hill that has no top to it. On Tuesday's show, watch for Sally to stand her ground against Billy. Will he change? Even if he wins Chancellor Industries back, he might lose something that's even more important. On Tuesday's show, Kyle is going to have to take the high road. He may feel that he's done everything right. But Claire doesn't see it that way. Kyle didn't want to hurt Claire by telling her that he felt he had to give Audra enough to hang herself in France. He also believes that Holden has the potential to be a harmful influence on Kyle and Claire's future. Alas, Claire's interpreting Kyle's stances negatively. Once again, Kyle's going to have to take a path that he may not agree with, but he wants his relationship to thrive, so he'll do what he thinks is best. Chelsea surprised Victor by siding with Adam on the hit piece on Kane, even though it indirectly hurt Billy. However, Chelsea hasn't hesitated to try and keep Adam on the right path, so that the Abbott and Newman feud comes to an end. Is Chelsea putting too much pressure on Adam? On Tuesday's show, watch for Adam to put Chelsea in a tough position. Is he going to ask the former con artist to do something she finds morally wrong? Will Chelsea and Adam's relationship survive? Christine and Danny are going to make up for having been separated all those years ago by getting remarried on The Young and the Restless. Lauren's been working on 3 different gowns for the bride to peruse, but Christine's not the only one who gets a vote in the final choice. Viewers do too. Us Weekly broke the news that fans of Y&R will be able to vote on the gown Chris wears when she and Danny tie the knot in November. What a headline! Belle enthused on Instagram. Guess who picks the dress when Danny and Cricket get remarried in Nov? You! The greatest viewers ever. The fans of @Young and Restless CBS. Watching the wedding will be so much fun, but we wanted you to be part of it, Belle continued. One of our favorite covers by photographer Nandar Jonathan Exley back in 1992, and we just did the remake 33 years later by photographer @Howard Wise. Amazing idea! Y&R publicist Matt Kane. Lots of fun stuff to post over the next week, Belle adds. On Wednesday, she'll post a video of some of the wedding dresses that she and Y&R's costumer, Mandy Line, considered but didn't make the cut. On Thursday, there will be details on how viewers can vote on which gown Christine will wear. When we heard that we were going to get remarried, I just thought, these people have devoted so much of their lives to our show, Belle said. Whenever there's a way where we can incorporate them or make them understand how much they mean to us, we can't do this without them. Danny and Christine first got married in 1990 in Hawaii, back in the days of shows going on remotes. Today, production mostly sticks to the show's studios. Danny and Chris faced post-wedding drama with threats from David Kimball and Michael Baldwin. The marriage survived until Danny went off to Broadway to headline in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Joseph and His Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That's when Phyllis entered The Young and the Restless picture. She drugged Danny and let him believe that her son, Daniel Romalotti Jr., was his. It took a few years, but eventually, Phyllis's lies were exposed. She lost custody of her son. Danny and Daniel left town. At this point, Chris had moved on to a relationship with Paul. Despite 2 marriages, Chris and Paul split for good. Did Victor finally succeed in breaking up Claire and Kyle? Claire is dealing with one bombshell revelation after another on The Young and the Restless. The Newman heiress learned that her boyfriend Kyle hasn't been honest with her. Kyle's latest secret is his and Victor's deal. Although Victor thought he did the right thing by telling Claire, he might have done more harm than good. Claire and Kyle are on the verge of a breakup. She's furious after Kyle lied about his kiss with Audra in France. Needing someone to vent to, Claire turned to her grandfather, Victor. Victor was intrigued when Claire revealed what happened between Kyle and Audra during their trip. As Claire wondered if she could trust Kyle, Victor told her about the contract. In their deal, Kyle agreed to pay Victor $5 million and leave town if he ever hurt Claire. Victor told Claire about the contract as proof that Kyle really loves her. However, the mustache might have done it for another reason. Victor's been anti-Claire from the moment the couple started dating. He did everything to try to split them, including hiring Audra to seduce Kyle. His plan didn't work, and in a surprising twist, Victor changed his tune about the relationship. Or did he? Victor's sudden support for Claire and Kyle is garnering suspicions from fans. The Newman patriarch usually has a hidden agenda when it comes to business and family matters. Although Victor gave Claire and Kyle his blessing, he secretly could have been plotting to destroy their relationship. He might have put the final nail in the coffin by telling Claire about the contract. Kane wants Amanda to help Lily see that he's a good guy. But will she get fooled? Kane wants to make good use of his alliances. On Friday's episode of The Young and the Restless, he asked Michael to make amends with Phyllis. Now, he has a new assignment for Amanda, which could bring him back with his ex-wife. Amanda is back in Genoa City. She had to clean up all of Kane's messes, which he left behind in Nice. Kane has had a change of heart since returning home. Lily informed him that he needed to explain what happened to their kids. So far, he has paused on his next business moves. He regrets the pain and hurt he's caused his family. So, he has to tread carefully, which means handing over his AI software to Billy. Amanda wanted to know about Kane's plans, but he was more focused on making amends. He also wanted to know about her relationship with Lily. She told him that Lily still sees her as her devious twin sister, Hillary. There's also the issue of Amanda working for her ex-husband. Kane wanted Amanda to befriend Lily. He wanted to know if he still had a chance with her and if Lily would consider a reconciliation. His goal is for Amanda to help Lily see the good in him again. Amanda wanted to know Kane's next move. He grinned and told her that he had a lot going on that would keep him busy. Once again, he had a devious look on his face. Kane teased that his plans are just beginning. But what else does he have planned? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates tease that Victor Newman and Jack Abbott are forming an unexpected alliance. Although they are rivals, they appear ready to collaborate with a shared objective. Here's a look at how the partnership between Jack and Victor might actually take shape. Currently, Victor and Jack can hardly tolerate being in the same space together. This is a feud that goes back many years. Even when Jack's father was alive, Victor didn't like him either. An encounter at Society alone is sufficient to spoil the day for both Jack and Victor, which highlights the intensity of their rivalry that shows no signs of fading. However, they share one significant commonality: a strong desire to protect their families. This priority overshadows everything else for both Jack and Victor, paving the way for a potential truce in the upcoming episodes. This fall, Victor and Jack will consider forming an alliance. There will be some conversations about how Jack and Victor could collaborate on a mission that might serve both of their interests. Victor is definitely not keen on Kane Ashby or anyone else encroaching on the family business he has established. We will witness Victor taking measures to protect the Newman legacy, which might involve collaborating with Jack. Given that Jack is also interested in safeguarding Jabot, he will be open to the prospect of a partnership with Victor. Naturally, this will be challenging since Jack and Victor have such a deep-seated animosity towards one another. They will face numerous trust issues, but perhaps they can rely on each other just enough to make this alliance a reality. As it appears that Jack and Victor are set to proceed with their collaboration, it will be fascinating to observe how everything unfolds. There's a chance for betrayal lurking ahead, yet it's equally possible that Victor and Jack will develop a deeper understanding of one another. If their collaborative efforts succeed, the truce between Jack and Victor might actually last for a while. Do you relish the rivalry between Victor and Jack, or are you looking forward to a bit of harmony between them? Could this newfound alliance lead to a resolution of the Newman-Abbott conflict, or will it blow up in all their faces? The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Kyle Abbott has been reeling since returning from France. Audra Charles is in trouble as she continues to demonstrate, and her link to Holden Novak reinforces Kyle's problems. Claire Newman loves Kyle, but is in a first-time relationship. That means she doesn't have comparison ability. Holden's revealed interest in Claire confirms Kyle's suspicions. So, viewers are watching to see if she maintains a friendship with Owen's character, or is in the process of switching love interests. Claire defaults to her childhood experiences with Jordan Howard whenever she believes anyone is trying to protect her, as conversations with her grandfather demonstrated. But that was before she realized Victor Newman's opinion shouldn't be rejected because it represented wisdom. Victor's defense of Kyle hasn't become full-throated. It's more nuanced, with Claire's first-ever boyfriend passing Victor's hard test. An equally intriguing development is Claire's continued belief that her childhood experiences mean she doesn't need anyone, be it Kyle, Holden, or whoever, protecting her. That often repeated line in Genoa City, Wisconsin, is one that Claire's mother, Victoria Newman, used throughout her early adult years and still mentions on occasion. Devoted viewers know that Claire is like her grandfather, believing that she only needs help when asking for it. Viewers only know scant details about what happened between him and Audra in Los Angeles, California. That was before both characters were written into GC. Apparently, Audra became involved in a sordid scenario. Holden helped her get out of it. That's the gist of that hidden plot. But if that's it, then Audra is the villain, and Holden was simply helping a woman he cared about. Yet, this is daytime. So, there must be more or a twist. Holden recently told Claire that he can no longer deny his feelings for her. She didn't expect to hear him make that admission. Plus, she rejected Kyle's awareness of that reality because of her defensive ego mechanism. The confrontation between Kyle and Holden at Crimson Lights was a preview. Holden senses that Kyle is losing his grip on Claire and that she can be taken. She might rationalize that as her choice, rather than a reactionary rebound after the fact. Jack Abbott needs his son's full focus, but Kyle can't offer it because his heart is exposed. Kyle must resolve the rift with Claire. It feels more likely than not that she'll become involved with Holden, which will deepen Kyle's distraction. So, Jabot remains at greater risk because Jack and Diane Jenkins Abbott are its only protectors. Meanwhile, Kyle is enmeshed in love matters, and his post-summer Newman soulmate is growing closer to a man he doesn't trust. But she does, and that's probably leading to a deeper hurt for her. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Monday, September 15th, 2025. Fans can expect Michael Baldwin to call a truce with Phyllis Summers. Kane Ashby shares his new plan with Amanda Sinclair. Also, Devin Winters encourages Lily Winters to make a fresh start. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Devin, who will spend some time with Lily. Right now, Lily doesn't know what to do. The Kane bombshell was something unexpected, and people lost their lives. It might not have been directly Kane's fault, but if that party had never happened, then 3 people could still be alive right now. In any case, Lily still can't seem to get any straight answers from Kane. For the time being, Devin thinks that Lily should focus on getting a fresh start. So, how does Lily plan to do that when Kane is in Genoa City? Over with Michael, he has made a deal with Victor Newman. They both thought it was quite interesting that Phyllis is involved with Kane's plan. So, Michael has made a move to meet up with Red and talk to her. Michael hopes to get Phyllis in their corner. However, Victor has a lot of enemies. On the other hand, Michael is very good with words and can usually get people to hear his take on things. Michael and Phyllis do agree to call a truce. However, will they take that one step further and strike a deal? The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Monday, September 15th, reveal that Kane will tell Amanda about his new agenda. However, I wonder if Amanda will still be on board or not. The lawyer already warned Kane about going up against someone like Victor. The tycoon is determined to get everything he wants, both professionally and personally. Fans might also see Claire Grace Newman and Holden Novak continue to get closer. Claire doesn't like that Kyle Abbott is making jealous accusations. Claire will have friends, and Holden is one of them. Of course, Holden did some smooth-talking the minute Claire appeared. So, maybe Kyle is right about Holden's motives. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Monday, September 15th, 2025? This week's Y&R preview hints that Sally's worried when Billy makes a decision about Kane's offer. Genoa City residents will be undergoing many big changes. This week's The Young and the Restless preview reveals one character's business decision that could doom their relationship, while another prepares for their departure. Here's a glimpse of what to expect for September 15th and 19. Last week, Mariah dropped two big bombshells on Tessa. First, she was going to Boston to seek help for her issues. Second, the reason for Mariah's behavior is that she tried to kill a man. Mariah's confession stunned Tessa and left the couple's future uncertain. This week, Mariah prepares to leave for Boston, but not before she takes care of business. She has Daniel meet her in the park alone, and chances are it's to discuss Tessa. Mariah might ask Daniel to look after Tessa and Araya while she's gone. But she'll regret that decision when Tessa and Daniel grow closer during her absence. Trouble is brewing for Sally and Billy. Kane offered Billy a deal to take down his longtime nemesis, Victor. Sally wasn't happy with the idea and warned Billy not to get involved with Kane. Yet, the offer is too tempting for Billy to pass up. With Billy disregarding her feelings, Sally needs someone to vent to. She arrives at the Abbott mansion, and Diane asks if Billy is all right. An upset Sally responds that Billy is about to make the biggest mistake of his life. It's the moment of truth for Billy when he meets Kane on the train. Kane says that Billy can finally get revenge on Victor by saying yes to his offer. Billy looks on uncertainly as Kane makes his plea again. Will Billy accept the offer and risk his relationship with Sally? Or will Kane have to find a new partner in his plan? The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for the next 2 weeks. From September 15 to 26, fans can expect Jack Abbott to ask Victoria Newman for help. Meanwhile, Claire Grace Newman goes on an adventure with Holden Novak. Will it be exciting or dangerous, though? Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Before getting to the 2-weekers, let's discuss what's coming up from September 15 to 19. Fans will see Phyllis Summers get a gut feeling that Michael Baldwin isn't being totally honest. Red will try to interrogate Michael and figure out the truth. Meanwhile, Kane Ashby has a new assignment for Amanda Sinclair. The tycoon wants the lawyer to befriend Lily Winters. The goal is for Amanda to find out if Kane has any chance with Lily Winters. Wait, is this junior high? Kane will also admit to Amanda that he's bamboozling Billy Abbott. Later, Kane pushes Billy to make peace with his mother, Jill Abbott. Over with Adam Newman, he gives updates to Chelsea Lawson. While Chelsea will be unsure, Adam likely reassures her that this is the best way to save the Newman empire. By the end of the week, expect Kane to charm Lily. Even though Lily's brain tells her to stay away, Kane's charm might be too much for her to resist. That would certainly complicate things. Jack tries to warn Nikki Newman about all the chaos that is about to be unleashed. It's just not Kane that they need to worry about, but Victor and Billy as well. Eventually, Jack issues a plea to Victoria. Can she help save Jabot and the Abbott family? Also, Mariah Copeland asks Daniel Romalotti Jr. to meet with her in secret. The redhead will want answers about his feelings for Tessa Porter. During the week of September 22nd, Kyle Abbott's possessiveness could continue to be an issue. It will just push Claire further away, not closer to Kyle. As Kyle continues attacking Holden, Claire could just get pushed closer to danger. There could be some delays regarding Christine Blair's wedding to Danny Romalotti. There is also Chelsea, who seems to be headed down a scheming road with Adam again, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most in the next 2 weeks? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on CBS or Paramount Plus to find out what happens next.